Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Many of us take medication. It's helpful. It changes our lives, but sometimes there can be challenges with that. How do you know if you're taking the right med, when you should take it, how much you should take, how does it interact with other medications? We're going to dig a little deeper into that today. She is an expert in the field. I'm giving you that title because there's nobody that knows about the pharmaceutical industry and medications like Lisa Nezneski. She's your go-to. That's just a piece of what she does, along with coaching. She's also a certified mindful meditation teacher, so much more. And she's with us. Lisa, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you? I'm feeling so much better.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that last couple of times we got together. Even those in the medical field need medical attention. So you had surgery and you're on the mend, doing well, I guess, right?
I am. I tend to go hard charging, and it's interesting how I've had to kind of dial it back a little bit and pay more attention to my body.
Mhm.
It's worth it. Totally worth it.
I deal with minor skin cancer, had surgery here, had surgery here, had surgery here the last couple of days. And you know what it is? It's taking the time to do those things and take care of yourself. And, for me, I let it go because I take care of everybody else. And, you got to circle back to it. I wonder with somebody of your stature in terms of the pharmaceutical side. I mean, you not just the pharmaceutical industry, but working closely directed with patients and medication. When you're prescribed something, do you check and double check? Do you question?
I do. I do question. Um, it's really interesting. I just went to a new doctor for a checkup on the 30th of November, which was about 2 weeks ago. And I was showing her lab values, and she said, "They're trying to get you to take a statin, aren't they?" And I said, "Yes." So, there are some medications that, they certainly have a role, but for me personally, I pushed back pretty hard on that one because I was 100% certain it was because of the adrenal gland. And once things were settled out, I imagine that my cholesterol levels and so on will normalize to what they've been my entire life. So as it goes, when I'm prescribed something, I do my same checklist that I recommend everyone else do. First of all, figure out what symptom or medical condition they're using it for. Now that might sound obvious, but sometimes it isn't, because many medications have multiple indications. They have multiple uses that are, quote, off label.
Yep.
So make sure that you understand why, first of all, what condition the medication will treat, and then why what you can do to expect when you're taking it. What benefit will you receive from it? And the next question is, when will I start to see that benefit? It may not happen right away. Now, antibiotics are the exception to the rule. They will start working with the very same first dose. Sometimes we give what's called a loading dose, which is an extra amount in your body to kind of saturate your tissues so that it begins the healing process quicker. But there are other medications that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. Heart medications sometimes, particularly medications for depression or mood, will take a while for them to level off. So sometimes in that beginning period, you begin to have these unacceptable side effects, if you will. You'll have really dry mouth, or you'll get constipated, or you have sleepiness from them. There are some medications where that will wear off, so you hang in there and let it go, run its course till your body adjusts. Or if it is completely unacceptable to you, there are plenty of other medications. So good communication with your doctor 14 to 21 days after you start a new medication is helpful. So many medical records have ways that you can communicate directly with your doctor with a message, and I find those extremely helpful. So I encourage more communication than less. So sometimes you don't know if the symptom is caused by the medication or if it is something brand new, something that just sort of cropped up. So it's always good to ask and review your medications with all of your medications with all of your prescribers every visit.
I would think one of the last things you ever want to do is take a medication to make up for the side effects of taking another medication, right?
Well, yes, sometimes there are times when that can't be helped. Like, for example, I'm thinking of a drug that helps people with osteoporosis that is really rough on your stomach. Oftentimes, they'll prescribe something to mitigate that effect. So, if it's a known side effect and you use something with it to prevent more complications, then that certainly is an okay situation, if that makes sense to you. That if you have a known side effect and we know how to mitigate it, the benefits far outweigh the not taking it, then that situation exists as well. But if you find yourself in a situation where you know that the medication is causing this because maybe you've skipped a dose and you haven't had that symptom, then it's time to ask more questions about alternatives. There are such a range of medications that most of the pharmacy benefit managers select one within a category for you. And if you can't tolerate the first one, you need to continue to ask because they restrict what they're paying for and so on. But asking if there is something else that you could take, even if it was something that required the doctor to authorize that medication formally through a letter of or some type of communication with the benefit manager so that you can get something, try something so you're not suffering.
There can be so much going on. I have one friend who takes a medication for a blood disorder, and she has some side effects, fatigue. Um, Sometimes she shorter breath, coughs a lot, but she's not 100% sure it's the medication or the disorder. And then you look at medications used for other things. Like I mentioned, minor skin cancer before. I've been using off and on over the years a cream that wasn't
Mhm.
approved by the FDA for skin cancer. It was actually genital wart cream, which was actually fun going to CVS and walking out and saying, that's not for that. It's for something else. But eventually they did approve it. And not long ago, my friend who's an EMT, doctor gave me some meds to sleep a little bit better every once in a while, just take something. And he's looking at the bottle. He goes, "Do you realize this is seizure medicine that they gave you?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." And apparently it can also be used to help you sleep. But sometimes you're prescribed things that you would not even realize it's being used for what it's being used for. Do you find that a lot that there's like many dual purpose roles for medications?
Oh, absolutely. Because the more that we study the medication, the more that it's used in the general population and people report different things, we find that we're now using it for uh, what was initially a side effect. Like, for example, there was a drug, trazodone, that came out while I was practicing, probably in the 90s, I want to say, trazodone. And it was a great antidepressant, and they were giving it to elderly people in the nursing home and found out they were sleeping 10, 12 hours. So now trazodone's primary use is to help people sleep and sleep a longer duration. So yes, it's not one as a first line antidepressant now. So that definitely happens. And maybe you've heard of
Can I jump
Rogaine.
in? Can
Sure,
I
go
jump
ahead.
in? I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
pretty sure, and I'm going to how do you say trazodone?
Hmm.
Okay. Um, I went to my primary care physician and I said, should I be taking what I just mentioned before? Like we're vibing each other today, Lisa. Just what I said before, the seizure medication. I said, do I need to go that hardcore for this? And she says, no, it was somebody else in the practice. I don't know why they gave you that. So she gave me trazodone, which, as I researched it, is actually one of the first ever antidepressants. And I believe it came out in 1980, and it's used for sleep. However, I don't use it hardly ever because I find that when I do take it, even with half the dosage, I've even tried that cut back, that I get antsy before I go to sleep. It has that effect on me. And I've tried it a number of times and I'm just like, my heart's beating a little bit faster. I just want to go to sleep. So I don't know that it's really working for me. So I have to go back to my doctor on that. I don't have major sleep issues, but occasionally just need to, catch up.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know that you sometimes also have side effects with the medication. So yeah, definitely in this case, it doesn't sound like a usual and customary type side effect, although I typically, when I'm doing a consultation, and you mention the symptom, I will do a deep dive to find out exactly whether or not that's been published and what the incidence, because honestly, I don't remember everything. So I do the research. So when people come to me for a consultation, I like to take a look at all of their medications first. I ask for a list before we even meet. And then we get together and review the list, and I listen to all their questions and concerns, from everything from what they're currently taking, what they've taken in the past, like a baseline, basically what we're doing and getting a history. And then from there, I will ask them, what is your primary concern that you want me to work on for you? And I will go through step by step and put a plan together. Typically, it's called the medication math, actually. I'll think about 3 different alternatives.
Mm,
So if we're going to work on your primary concern, there'll be 3 different that I think will all equally work, but you have the agency to choose which one is going to fit better with your life, with your life, period.
yeah.
Which one is really your choice. So there may be supplements that I recommend that may be missing in your regimen, simply because some of the medications actually rob your body of certain nutrients,
Mm,
minerals. So supplementing with minerals, like for example, I mentioned osteoporosis. Most women need both calcium and vitamin D to ward off as well as treat osteoporosis. So those 2 supplements, if you are known to have that condition, you definitely would want to take those. And there's so many on the market, and so many of them can upset your stomach. So we work together to figure out which one is really going to be right for you.
mm. I don't know how you do what you do, Lisa. There's so much to remember. And how do you even remember the names of the medications? I cannot. I can't even come close. Never. Was that tough for you, going through school and then, moving forward, becoming, a doctor and going through your life? Did you ever have trouble remembering stuff like that?
You know, as far as medications and medical conditions, it's really its own language, if you will.
Hmm. Okay.
I never had any difficulty with it. I don't know why. I enjoyed chemistry, and if you have some chemistry background, you see, oh, well, this is an alkaloid, or this is a different type of chemical that you have. If you think about what those are, then you start to think, okay, well, for example, there are 4 or 5 drugs that are what we call in the same class. So they work similarly, but each you're looking for the differences amongst them. So there's an iterative learning that you do. And honestly, it's for me, it's so fascinating that I don't find it difficult. I find it hard to learn Spanish. You know, no comprendo mucho. I'm working really hard to learn
Wow.
Spanish, and I just medical things come very easily to
I
me.
guess so, because you're putting the principles and the chemical makeup in the back of your brain as you associate the names of the medication. So I guess you have
Right.
that association, which is helpful. I mean, I'm embarrassed that you're talking about trazodone or whatever it's called, and I was taking it and couldn't even remember the name of it until you said it. And maybe this is a point for everybody, but carry the details with you. So when that doctor prescribed that, I was going for a long weekend with some friends down south. And I was like, yeah, let me take a few of those with me. Didn't take the whole bottle. Don't need, I'll take like four if I need to sleep, whatever. And then I'm thinking about taking it. And I thought, well, wait a minute. If there's a side effect, I don't know what it is. I didn't remember the name of the med. Didn't take the bottle, didn't take a picture of it, didn't do any of that. So I didn't take it, didn't need it, but I didn't take it because I was worried on the back end. How am I going to verbalize that? And forget about calling up your doctor, last minute. You'll never get him on the phone.
Sure, exactly. Now, you could potentially, if you have electronic medical records, you could have gone back in and looked to see what is that new medication on the summary of visit. You could also check with your pharmacy if you knew which pharmacy you received the prescription from. So there are alternatives, but yes, traveling with loose pills is a very bad idea.
Yeah, I'm the guy that takes one pill box or vial and puts them all inside there.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that I take a lot of meds, but I'll even throw the vitamins in there as well. Just say, oh, hey, convenient. But on the back end, not convenient when you need to know what each one looks like, and also the names of them. That would be helpful as well. Um, when you work with people, you start with the intake, you learn about their medications, you get that list. Are they telling you what they're going through and what their goals are? Is that
Oh,
usually?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and if they forget to tell me, that is absolutely something that I ask about, is to make sure I really understand and get to know them. And I don't rush my visits. A consultation with me is basically a relationship building. So we start off just reviewing the med list, and then I go off and do research, and we come back together and we review the plan and we talk about which ones they are willing to implement and how they're going to do it and how to stage it. And then through unlimited emails, you can tell me whenever something is happening and you have a question. I answer all my emails myself. And then after the right amount of time that you've implemented the new process, what we'll do is we'll get back together and see whether or not there's some fine tuning that we can do. So
Mm.
it's typically 3 visits, sometimes more, unlimited emails. And one of the things that I'm going to do for your guests of this podcast is that anyone who's listening today can buy a consultation and get one free to give as a gift.
Wow.
So I've never done that before, but I felt compelled to do that. That came to me in meditation today, that would be a really wonderful thing for people out there. So the way to get this is to go to my website, fill out the contact me form, and say I'm interested in buying the buy one get one medication consultation.
Hmm. Love that. And if it's even not for yourself, if you're thinking of somebody maybe in your family, I got to believe, think a little harder. You'll think of somebody else that's on medication, maybe having some challenges. It usually isn't it's a moving target. That's where I'm going with that when you're on meds,
Sure.
right?
Sure, no, it could be, many times we're taking care of parents as well as kids,
Yes.
and we're worried about our parents and we want them to live alone for as long as they possibly can. So one for yourself or one for their sibling. I mean, that would be a wonderful gift to give someone who's really struggling and have peace of mind.
Have a couple of minutes left. I've always wanted to ask you this question. So while we're digging into
Sure.
medication and not meditation today, what are your thoughts on drug trials? A lot of times they will solicit and you'll take medication for a period of time. A lot of times you get it for free. There's, no copay or anything involved. What are your thoughts?
I personally have participated in every trial that I am eligible for. I
Hmm.
typically the ones that I have enrolled in are with university medical centers. So if a university medical center is soliciting patients for trials. Those have gone through their institutional review board. They're usually collaborative amongst different hospitals. So it's gone through every single one of those institutional review boards to make sure that they are safe. When I worked at Wheeling Hospital, I was responsible for the institutional review board. So I had to walk the walk, and we did a lot of cancer trials associated with Fox Chase in Philadelphia. So the Fox Chase would be the primary research. We were a satellite research site. And doing that kind of work is really incredibly rewarding on the backside of it, because you get to see, first of all, is this drug going to work? And the tremendous benefits that some of these people have gotten after 1 or 2 doses, especially in the cancer area. And then when you see it come to market. So I'm obviously very enthusiastic about drug trials when you do them through a university medical center. There are some pay per trial sites and companies out there, although they will have to still go through an institutional review board. It may be easier to be with the medical center that you're already affiliated with rather than some standalone.
So your advice is, if it's through a medical center, university, you can feel a little bit better about it. What if the drug company, let's say your doctor connects you with the drug company? I got nothing to hide. HIPAA probably hates me because I say whatever. I took a medication for skin cancer about 6 years ago, and it was through the drug company, and they give it to you for free. They welcome you. It was an interesting experience. Didn't work as well as I wanted it to, so I got off of it. But what if it's solicited directly from the drug company?
I don't know that that's actually the case, to be honest. I think there are specific regulations that they cannot run those trials unless they're affiliated with physicians and
Okay,
so on.
yes, let me clarify. If the drug company has a new drug, it's been approved by the FDA and it's there, but you're in the earlier stages of it. What are your thoughts on that?
So there are 4 phases, 3 phases of detailed research before it even gets to human trials, which is phase 4. Phase 4, human trials, there's some, dose adjustment. We talked about dosages when we first started talking today, that some doses work better than others.
Yep.
Those are some of the preliminary trials. And then when it gets to human trials in phase 4, those are the ones where they're typically they like to keep a large amount of subjects and look for things like the side effects. And before they reach FDA approval, phase 4 studies have to be complete. Sometimes you hear in the news that they stopped a trial early because there was either major side effects or there was tremendous benefit that the FDA went ahead and approved it. After the drug comes to market, aftermarket, those kinds of trials where they're looking for conditions where this drug can also benefit, those are okay too.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with those. If it's gone through already the phase 4, it's been approved, it's on the market, and now we're going to see, because many of the drugs that I deal with for my consulting job with McKesson they are orphan drugs. So there's a limited number of patients that can benefit from them. But then again, blockbuster drugs are tried in some of these rare conditions to see whether or not they have benefit, and then the drug gets orphan status. Orphan status gives them a longer amount of time for the patent to be extended. So there are some benefits from that as well.
All right, great. Appreciate that. I always wondered, it's you got one side where the trials are going on, then you have the other side where it's gone to market, but they need more people on it. So, hey, they can sell it better, but also they can gather even more research.
More information,
yeah.
Right. And those are highly supervised trials. So I have a great deal of confidence in that.
Yeah. And to your point, when I tried it out, tried it for like 6 months, they would call me, they would check in, see how things are going. And I had probably a quarter of the normal side effects with the medication. But it didn't do everything it could have or should have done, but everybody's different. But overall, it was a good experience. So tell us how we get in touch with you. I know you have a coupon code if somebody wants to get a gift certificate and share one with somebody else. Buy one, get one.
Right. So the buy one, get one is for the medication consultation. Just go to my website, www.lisanezneski, LISANEZNESKI.com, and contact me, and I'll be happy to figure out exactly how to do that process. I haven't figured it out. It just kind of dawned on me today. So I'll have to figure out the process to get both of those gift certificates in people's hands. Now, if you want to shop the store, Healthy Mindful Self, your listeners, there is 20% off everything in the store until December 20th. And that is podcast, lowercase 20. So Healthy Mindful Self, and using the coupon code podcast, all lowercase 20, podcast 20 at checkout, and you'll get 20% off everything.
Well, that's great. Boy, you're loaded up today with good stuff. I love it.
Thanks.
The medication consultation, what a great gift. It's not one that one would think, that I don't know if I would ask for it myself. I don't know. I would have to know that it exists, and now that's why we're talking about it. But when you think about all the medications that many of us are on and all the questions you have, and they're usually not answered by your doctor, it's just not going to happen. But the doctor is in. Lisa Nezneski. Thank you so much for being here today, Lisa. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.